If it was really recent, then no. But not escaping from DC World.
Never. But yeah, did you hear about the recent Microsoft closures?
No.
They closed down the Arcane. So Arcane. They made the Dishonored games. They made the Prey game, and then they made that terrible game Redfall.
Yeah.
They got closed down by Microsoft.
Okay.
They also closed down Tango Gameworks. They made a Hi-Fi Rush. They made Evil Within stuff. Hi-Fi Rush was the best, one of the best performing indie darling games, and they were praised and they won stuff.
How much of an indie game is it if it's backed by Microsoft?
True.
It's kind of like Dave the Diver.
True.
Like I love Dave the Diver, but like
by all accounts, by all metrics, it was a hit. Mm-hmm. It was successful. It was profitable. They closed them down.
Oh.
And everyone's just like, why the hell would you work for Microsoft? Mm. Like you make an arguably good game. You make a profitable game. You make a successful game. And
I also feel like in general though, Microsoft is not really interested in being in the game space anymore.
No, the problem is they are, because they keep buying up game developers and then they close them. And someone, why would I buy crystals? No. Someone made a interesting, Calsuri's made a interesting notion
commentary
of it.
on it. Mm-hmm.
And it's the Microsoft execs can't get past a 90-day window for profits.
Which is weird. And I know it's
for revenue.
It's a little different for Microsoft because they have a product like Windows. And obviously you're going to make money very quickly on Windows because it's Windows. But for most software and like video game companies, they have a longer period of time to recoup the money. Yeah. So it shouldn't be on a 90-day scale.
So Pat from Calsuri's, he was saying like it seems like Microsoft can't get beyond a 30-day window of should we keep this thing around. So Tango has a thing in production. Tango Gameworks has Hi-Fi Rush in production, and they say, hey, we're going to do this. And Microsoft's like, great, we've sunk all this money in. You're going to send that game out, and you're going to be great. Awesome. And then they do that. And then it's like, hey, we released it. And Microsoft's like, great. Microsoft themselves says, like, we're so happy to have Tango Gameworks. They didn't advertise anything for Hi-Fi Rush. There was no advertisement. It just dropped. And everyone was like, why are you not telling more people about this? This is an amazing game. Yeah. It won awards at DICE. Amazing game. Then, so Tango Gameworks, being a developer, they're like, of course we want to have, we want to make another game. So then you turn a quarter, and then you go to Microsoft and you say, we want to get the green light on our next game project, and that means Microsoft has to shell out because they're the publisher and they own Tango Gameworks.
Yeah, they're the parent company.
Hey, we now have to give them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, so that they can make this new game. To them, that's a loss because like, oh, it's such a risky business. Why would we do that? So they close them down. And it's like
video games are only risky though if A, your marketing is shit, and if you are an unestablished company that people don't already want to play the games of. You advertise Hi-Fi Rush enough, and you would have had that base of people playing.
You would have.
And also, it wasn't Hi-Fi Rush part of Game Pass?
They put it direct. It was a day one Game Pass.
Yeah.
And that is simply because of Microsoft's new stance of any Microsoft game is a day one Game Pass. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
here's the
why
thing.
Why would you bother buying any Microsoft game and showing that this is actually really successful and profitable unless it's on PC? Because then why wouldn't I just subscribe to Game Pass? So you're making Game Pass look amazingly profitable and really nice, but we're not getting sales. So
and you have to you have to have a different KPI that you're measuring the success by if you're putting it into a subscription like that.
Yep.
Because then you would want to see, okay, what are the hours of our Game Pass users playing this game? Because then you can say, okay, if we have so many hours played of a single game, people are continuing their subscription, that means that this is probably one of the things keeping them on the subscription.
Yeah.
That's how you have to look at it.
So I listened to another podcast from Press Start Turbo guys, and they were going on about they had an interviewer, or they did an interview with a guy that owns a publisher house.
Okay.
And his thing is that he's a very small publisher house, and he wants to keep it that way because he wants to greenlight as many people as possible to make smaller games, because he doesn't want to make $1 million games. He doesn't want to make $10 million games. He wants to make like $100,000 games. He wants to make $40,000 games. He wants to make smaller games, but he wants to make games.
Yeah.
He made the developer. He made a game himself, and it was called El Paso Elsewhere.
Okay.
It was a great game. Everyone loved it, but it was a small game. And when he was trying to get it sold to other publishers, they're saying it's a third-person action shooter game, single-player story. And it's basically like a spiritual successor to the Max Payne series, right?
Right.
Whenever he was shopping it around to everyone else, they were like, well, what's the game you really want to make? And he's like, I want to make El Paso Elsewhere. And it's like, but what's the game you really want to make? They're like trying to convince him. He's like, what else do you want to do? And he's like, no, this is what I want to make. And he's like, well, how much is it? He's like, it's $100,000 or like however much it was. Mm-hmm. And they're like, but how much is it really? And they were worried because he wasn't asking for the $10 million budget. He wasn't saying, because in their minds, they're like, well, if we don't bet enough, if we don't wager and risk enough money, then it's not worth it, because the profits that we might get from it aren't going to be the $10 million wager. They're going to be a $100,000 wager. And it doesn't matter if he sold 100,000 copies of the game and made back all of his money and made a profit on it. They're just saying, well, it's not that big of a game. And he's like, the games industry needs to stop being so focused on the $300 million games. And they need to be actually going out and saying, like, hey, we need this. But every single publisher that he's talked to, they're saying, if you don't spend more than $400,000, and not every game is worth $400,000 or $1 million,
No.
But they're saying, if it's not X amount, and they literally said, if it's not more than $300,000, if it's not worth more than $700,000, we don't even want to look at it, because it's not going to be that big windfall for us that we think
what's
we want.
Extremely flawed about that is it's similar to what's happening with movies, where there's too much focus on the equivalent for games, AAA games, and then in movies, blockbusters. But the problem is, if all that's being created is AAA and blockbuster, that means nothing is AAA or blockbuster.
Yeah.
And then because those are more expensive, movies, it's a little different, because, you go to see a movie at a theater, it's expensive, but it's not anything too crazy, so long as you're not going too often. But obviously they want people going super often, so then it is insanely expensive.
You want
and then streaming, but streaming is kind of fucked over Hollywood as well, because then you're not getting the DVD profits, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is, if you only create AAA, if you only create blockbusters, that means nothing is that. So then there's a certain point where there's the fatigue of why would I buy every single one of these? I don't have that much disposable income. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you don't have that much disposable income. These are all long time investments, because I'm sorry, like when Call of Duty had that game that you beat it super fast, but it was super expensive, like that's absurd. That should not happen.
So Modern Warfare 3 was what happened. It was the second iteration. It was 2023 Modern Warfare 3. That was supposed to be DLC for Modern Warfare 2022.
And then they created it into its own
they said
game.
We really want a yearly release. So instead of missing a year of Call of Duty and giving a DLC story expansion, because why would we give a DLC story expansion? No one does that anymore. All the DLC that comes out has to be battle passes, it has to be skins, and it has to be guns. It has to be the online stuff. It was like, if you're not directing people to buy currency for your game, then it's a wasted potential for your expansion. Halo Infinite, the latest Halo game.
Okay.
It was so bad because there's so little. Because
is Bungie still?
No,
kicking?
Bungie hasn't. The last game that Bungie made for Halo was Halo Reach.
Okay.
There's been Halo 4 and Halo 5, Halo Infinite.
Okay,
There's been 3 games under 343.
I've been out of the games world, like paying attention to it that much for a while. So
with the Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, and Reach, those were all Bungie games.
Yeah.
And the great thing about those is that you kept a core team of senior developers that led from game to game to game to game. And they were able to make these fantastic first-person shooters. By the time they got to Halo Infinite, and the games industry is so crunch-heavy, and you're just burning people out, and it's just a meat grinder, right? So you're only getting junior developers that have to be taught by senior developers. But when you keep burning out those senior developers and you keep laying them off because like, oh well, you don't have a game, like the Tango GameWorks thing, like, oh, you want to make a new game? That's too much money, and it's not going to be a big enough risk. So we're just gonna dissolve your company. We're gonna dissolve your development house.
I can tell you across industries, it's very similar though of a thing happening, and the problem is now there's becoming a talent gap that is going to be in the next couple of years because
there's no insurance
the people
to your job.
The people that are still working and have a lot of the experience, there's a gap between them and who we're calling senior talent at this point, and junior talent and people coming on. There's a huge gap. So in the next couple of years, it's going to be bad across all industries.
Sectors. Yeah. In the case of Halo Infinite, they were down to just a revolving door. It was literally, they called it a revolving door of contractors because it was just, and you were contractors.
Having worked in IT, it's different, but I can tell you, very common.
Your contract would never exceed more than a year and a half.
Yeah.
You had 18-month contracts, and then by the time that happened, remember, this is developing a game. You have to onboard the new hires, and you have to teach them all the tool sets, and then by the time they get comfortable with the tool sets and would be an asset to making the game,
they're maybe there for a month.
Their contract is up.
Yeah.
So by the time that they're almost done, not even fully learned, almost done learning the tools, they have to start onboarding the next batch of meat that it's gonna get ground up.
Yep.
It's disgusting. And seeing it's just like it's terrible. I don't mind having big games like the God of War games, the Horizon games, the Call of Duty games. But all right, so WB.
Yeah.
Very pertinent to what we're playing right now.
Yep.
WB had Suicide Squad, which bombed and failed, and they had Hogwarts Legacy.
They made a game for Suicide Squad?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Suicide Squad had a game. It
didn't know that.
Bombed. Because they're like, has to have a battle pass, has to have it always online, has to be a social club, has to have all this extra stuff. We don't want you to make a single player game.
Yeah.
They also, same year, they greenlit and launched, or they released Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
A single player only driven game. No battle pass, no extra cosmetics and stuff. I mean, I think there were a couple, but it was very little. That was their best performing game. And not by like, oh, it was like a little bit best performing. It was their best performing game in like the last 12 years. And it outsold everything.
I'm sure part of that had to do with the IP because people aren't
burned. A little bit of it.
People aren't burned out. Well, people are burned out on Harry Potter, but they're not burned out on Harry Potter games because there's not that many games past like. They haven't made those games in a long time, like the ones I remember when we were kids. But like, so there's been a gap between Harry Potter video games. So that's part of it. But also, people are very, very sick of feeling like they're being nickel and dimed.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want a cohesive story that you can play through.
When they asked their communities, like, hey, what are the kind of games that you want? And their community was shouting and raving at them, we want single-player games. We do not want battle passes. We want the Hogwarts Legacy games. WB said, we've taken what you've said into consideration, but we really want to make games like Suicide Squad that cost like 7 times as much as Hogwarts Legacy, took longer to develop, and failed and bombed because we want you to be buying currency. We want you to be buying our battle passes and everything. And it's just like, no one was saying we want that kind of game. They were saying like, we want this other kind of game. And they're just like, we hear you, but we're not going to do that. We know that's what you want, and we know that's what you would buy, but we want to sell you this other game that you're not going to buy and is going to fail, and then we're going to be like, well, gaming is just a dead industry.
Yeah, because they're not actually listening. It's very, like, it's one of those frustrating things where it's like, It's very, very obvious what people want. People are saying what they want. And the companies just are not...
It's not a mystery.
They're not paying attention or actually, like, acknowledging and taking into account what people want because, that's not how we're going to make money.
Yeah.
We have to have this like a Fortnite game where we're constantly generating more money.
Yeah. And again, it has to be, well, why don't you want to make the $30 million game? Because I don't have a scope for a $30 million game. I have a scope for a $30,000 game.
Yeah.
I have a scope for 1% of the game.
These days, I don't think you can really make a game for $30,000.
Right.
Not if you're actually, like, if you are indie developers doing it, you might be doing it for cheap.
Yeah.
The money you're actually putting into it is not. But if you were to actually put into a dollar amount the value of the time that's being spent on it, it would be much more.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that. You could have it where, like, that much money didn't go out of a bank account to make this game.
Right. But, yeah.
But the
let's say,
time.
like, hey, during the total development cycle, average cost was about $300,000.
Yeah.
And you spent 3 years making this game. $100,000 a year to make a game. That's reasonable. That's a reasonable budget and schedule. The development houses are like, but you need to delay your game because if you delay your game, then that is a marker that your game is going to be more successful because you've delayed the game. It's like we don't care if you have to delay your game. It's we want you to delay your game.
Yeah.
And it's like Ubisoft's Skull and Bones. $1 billion to make this game, like, and they were saying they were making this game for like the last 15 years. It comes out, it was just shit. It was trash.
Okay, I was going to say, did it actually come out?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'm guessing it didn't go.
It looks worse and plays worse than the game it was trying to ape, which was Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. People looked back at that game and they're like, this game from whenever Black Flag came out. And it's like, plays better.
I was going
Black
to say,
Flag came out on PS3.
It came out on Wii U, and I remember people liking it on Wii U.
It was amazing. I played Black Flag. Black Flag has really fun ship combat. I'm like, Ubisoft, can we get a game with just ship combat? And they're like, oh, we'll think about it. And then they said...
They could have literally just built out what they had from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. I mean,
and gotten the game out within like a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people would have loved it. But then it's just like, well, you took 15 years and now we've moved on. Shocker.
Part of it that a lot of people don't have insight into, and I'm not saying I do, but it's also corporate politics.
Yeah.
That's also a lot of what gets played into this.
But the funny thing is, like any other game, any other company would have said like, all right, we're scrapping this game. We're closing this game. We're not going to launch it. But they had made a deal with, I think, the Taiwanese government to make jobs there, and they're like, no, the Taiwanese government was like, I'm not sure if it was Taiwan or not, but they were like, you have to release this game. Like, there is no way we are letting off this hook, and if you don't, we are suing you for hundreds of millions of dollars because you promised us something that you didn't deliver on. It was like, remember Keenan's of Amalur? It was co-produced by the state of Rhode Island.
What?
They took Rhode Island money, and when it didn't perform to the metrics that they wanted,
they owed money to Rhode Island?
They owed money to Rhode Island. So a lot of the profits that came from the game, they closed the studio, and now all those profits are just going back to Rhode Island.
I imagine because for that, I'm thinking they probably had a deal with the state in terms of taxes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably what it was.
I think,
so then they based their studios out of there and stuff.
I think it is beyond that. I think they actually took money because there's definitely cities and states that make it very tax convenient for you. Like Delaware, you go to Toronto, you go to Montreal.
Sometimes specific cities have incentives, like Austin, to bring in specific industries or companies. Yeah.
But I think what they did with Rhode Island is they went a step beyond that and they asked for loans from Rhode Island to make the game. And that's going beyond it. And when it didn't deliver, they're like, well, and the sad thing is they were pushed by, I think this is it, they were pushed by Rhode Island to get the game out faster, and they were like, we need another 2 years on this game. And then Rhode Island was like, no, you gave us this contract, you have to follow this contract, and you have to do it. They were also developing a MMO on top of it as well. So they were developing not one, but 2 games. And the second game was even larger because you're developing it to be an MMO to rival World of Warcraft. That's a bad business strategy because you're
really poorly planned.
You're splitting your teams between these two projects, and everyone's like, we don't want to work on the MMO. We want to work on the single player game, and we're being told we can't take the time that we know we need to make the single player game, so we got to push out. And it's like, shocker, it didn't work.
Yeah, like, don't work in the games industry, but like some of my background, that's just really poor planning and management of what they were trying to do with the project.
Yeah,
that's just really, really poorly done.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been talking for a while.
Anyway,
with this
Injustice
just
2
being on in the background.
Injustice 2.
End of podcast episode 1.
Oh, there's gear levels? What?
That probably has to do with the crystals they wanted you to buy. Loot crates.
Oh, yeah, 2017. Yeah, I guess that is prime loot crate battle pass stuff.
Yep.
Welcome to Injustice 2. Let's go over some base. Oh, they have a tutorial for me?
Step forward, step back, dash, back, hold duck.
I don't think I like the look of it as much as the other one.
It's like oddly dark, but with light.
I think it's the camera angle. The camera angle is like kind of tilted up.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, like we're looking under their chins or something. Camera's on the ground, like, yeah.
I kind of wish I didn't have a tutorial. Like, it's appreciated.
Can you skip it?
No.
Okay. Now showing Final Wish 2 and Hidden Criminal? Hidden Crimes.
Is there really no way to skip this? Oh, thank God. Wait, do I have to just...
Yep. Skip tutorial task, because it's by task.
We're just going to play it on very easy.
Okay, why is your dog nibbling me?
Labs do that.
Kevin,
all right.
You're a weirdo.
Yes, I play on very easy. It's a fighting game. Yeah, Labrador's just... It's like known that Lab like to do the nibble thing. It's called the Piranha Phase. Wow, this game looks pretty.
I mean, it's like, what, 4 or 5 years later?
2013 to 2017? Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, end of PS4 instead of beginning.
Not really. This is like midway through PS4.
Okay, but it's not the beginning.
It's mid-late PS4.
Yeah. I think this is Supergirl.
Why are there Mandalorians?
I don't know, considering that DC is not the comic house that they bought. Cthulhu? Is that you?
What the fuck? Okay, we have Terminators.
Or iRobot robots.
Or the Geth from Mass Effect. Or not the Geth, the Husks.
What we're learning is that sci-fi is not original within the genre. Shocking.
Sci-fi is iterative.
It's like genre fiction has specific tropes that it tends to use.
It's like everyone steals from everyone else.
Yeah. Wait, she went through a tube and now it's all calm?
Should we play through the Mass Effect series together?
We could. They'd probably be more interesting than this.
I mean, this is going to be short. This is going to be like another, like, what, 3, 4 hours?
We'll see. Maybe this one actually is 5.5 hours.
I hope not.
The last one wasn't.
We shaved 2 hours off there.
Yeah.
By not recognizing this story at all. Okay, that's weird.
Oh, it's a skull.
It's the Reapers.
Wait. It's like He-Man, She-Ra. What's the skeleton guy? Skeletor?
Skeletor. Ah, He-Man.
I never did watch any of those. To be fair, though, those were like 80s, so that was before me.
Yeah. So, like, it didn't explode. It just, like, slurped up the city. Mm-hmm. It just made a crater and be like, I'm hungry. I'm just going to take a nibble out of your planet.
Girl, behind you. I know you're severely traumatized. Your world has been destroyed.
Mother! Kara, come quickly.
All right,
Yep,
Kara.
it's Supergirl.
Oh, it's Krypton.
Yeah, this is Krypton. So I already kind of know what's going on because I read
How
the Wikipedia.
What do you know what's going on?
Because I read the Wikipedia
Oh, you read
page
the
like
Wikipedia.
an hour ago.
I thought you were like
So-
so well versed in DC Universe. I'm
no.
like, what the fuck? Where'd this come from?
No. I was just bullshitting you for the first game. No. So this is a flashback prior to the events of Injustice. We'll get through this, and then we're going to go to like 2 years after the events of Injustice.
Got
This is giving
it.
some background of what happened in Krypton.
So Superman's a baby.
Just like
Yes.
for your cousin Cal.
But Cal, he's just a baby.
He can't fly.
Which is why you'll need to protect him. Teach him our ways.
Didn't she get stuck in like a time thing where
Her ship gets put off course. I don't know what happens to her, because I swore that Superman was older than her for some reason, but I don't know. You're asking the wrong person when it comes to comics.
But you'll never be alone. You belong to the House of El, Kara. A house of hope. Never forget that. Never give up hope.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious having it the House of L, and it's like in so many languages, like the House of the.
El what?
El Muerta.
El trauma.
El Shito.
Wouldn't that be caca?
I mean, you're the one that's better at languages than me. I can barely speak English half the time.
I do not know Spanish.
She sees a baby flip her off, like, bitch!
Isn't that just Megamind?
Throws a gang sign.
Isn't that just Megamind?
No, who's the other guy in Megamind?
Knock off Superman?
Yeah,
I don't remember what
he
his
literally
name.
wasn't called Superman.
No, I know he wasn't called Superman. I don't remember what his name was. But yeah, the Superman of Megamind.
In my years fighting crime, I've learned one truth.
Now we're back to after Injustice, I think.
Story. Superman was no exception.
Oh, this is Bruce.
The Joker drugged him.
But billionaire
tricked
Bruce.
him into killing his pregnant wife Lois and made him trigger the bomb that nuked Metropolis. So when Superman killed the Joker, I understood why. We all did. But once that line was crossed, there was no going back.
Bruce.
But I think the world
He
could
gave
give a pass to
himself and the
Superman for
Justice
killing the
League.
Joker.
And also, again,
Stop all crime before it
why are
any
we
means
being so
necessary.
lenient to supervillains that are willing to commit mass genocide? And it's like, oh, it's not okay for you to
That's
kill
our
them and
greatest
taken out the
hero.
insane threat against
became our
humanity.
greatest threat.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense.
So what if Superman's pulling criminals out of Arkham? They're the worst of the worst.
He's going to kill them, Damian.
Sounds like justice to me.
Killing
Teenage Damien?
Ah,
Superman.
Damien. Now we know why Damien swapped to Superman's side. Because Damien wants to kill people, but and
Yes. Damien's
and-
a little psychopath.
Yeah.
Thought he'd say
Which,
He
again,
spent too many summers with his mother.
yeah, kinda.
Batman's like, I can't. It's like, how did I not get full custody over this
You
child?
know, nurture versus nature, it has to go hand in hand. There's some stuff genetically going on with the Al Ghul's.
Granted, I don't think that Batman even knew he had a child for 2 years.
No. I'm pretty sure she like brings Damien and is just like, hey, guess what? I raped you. Here's your son. He's like 7.
So why is Cyborg?
I don't know. This is a topsy-turvy world.
Warning shot, Cyborg.
I won't hurt you unless I have to.
You're gonna have to.
My friends were in Metropolis, Batman. Starfire, Beast Boy, gone. We do this. That never happens again.
What about Robin?
Right to be angry.
Because Robin was
But
part of
it's
the
not a
Titans,
blank
right?
check.
Yeah,
And the
I
Justice
think it's the
League
Robin that
isn't a
becomes
dense
Nightwing.
Well, that's Damien in this universe.
No, Damien takes up the mantle.
Oh, because
Because Nightwing is just a mantle that, like, the Robins, some of them take.
right.
Because I think, isn't Nightwing the original?
Dick Grayson, I think.
Isn't he the original Robin?
Maybe?
Because I think he leaves, joins the Teen Titans, because from what I remember, or forms the Teen Titans, because he leads them. But from what I remember, Teen Titans, that Robin becomes Nightwing, because I think in the cartoon you actually do see Nightwing in some of the episodes of like, oh, it's the future. But I don't know, it's been a long time.
Super move! Let's see how it is. Is it the same super move from Injustice 1? No. Alright, so he's now... We crash, we shoot him?
This is just an extreme version of a WWE, like, ring smash thing, where
Yeah,
you jump on the
pretty much.
person.
Not gonna miss you.
Alright, so we're clashing, I guess?
Yeah, Dick Grayson is the first Robin. Just looked it up. Because I think Dick Grayson is the one who leaves for the Teen Titans and then becomes
You
Nightwing.
don't see it
Because
yet.
Dick Grayson is supposed to, like, bang Starfire, right?
Yeah.
Your glider skills need work.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Let's go.
Yeah, you should have a lot more concern for your son.
Yeah, Batman's not the
You
greatest
should,
father.
you should
That-
have
that
a
should
lot
ne-
more concern for all of your sons, adopted or otherwise. But, like, I get that, like, you have a lot of childhood trauma, but maybe don't adopt all these kids and then
Why-
put them through the same thing.
Why are... Hold on.
What are the ski goggles gonna do?
No. They're in Arkham. They're in Arkham Asylum. Why are they beating up the guards?
So,
Why would they not just be like...
These-
Why would Batman not just have a free pass? Like, oh, Batman's here. Thank God we're safer.
These are Superman's police.
So you
This
won't
is the
kill,
rise of
but you're
that.
fine with traumatic
He is
brain
going...
He said the line!
Secure the loading docks.
Yeah. So what is happening is this is prior. We're still prior.
Oh, that's not a good outfit for
to
her.
no. We're still prior to Injustice.
Okay.
Here to help.
Superman, trying to get like retribution, is going into Arkham Asylum and trying to.
None of us wanted this.
So this is
He's
before the
trying-
events of the first game.
Yes.
And this
So-
is the alternate universe.
Yes. So he is.
I missed that
he's
completely.
he's going in. I only know this because of the Wikipedia. He's going in trying to I'm blanking on the word, but kill all the criminals in Arkham.
Oh, okay.
Execute. That's the word I'm thinking of. He's going in trying to execute everyone. To try and prevent supervillains from doing anything and all that. And then Damien's gonna join him because he's
He's a little piece
more
of shit.
he's more in line with Superman's thinking than Batman's. Which is not surprising from the little bit I know of Damien's character.
Yeah. Hey, we're beating... Second fight, we're beating up a woman.
We're early on. It could turn around.
So far, we're 50-50.
Yes. And the other game, it wasn't heavily skewed. Again, it's just like that's where we were actually paying attention.
It was like 5 fights in a row.
It
just
felt
women,
like
women,
it.
women.
It felt like it. It really did.
Oh, I messed up my super.
Do you have batarangs to use?
Yes. That's,
Okay.
That's the circle.
Okay, that's what I figured that was. Hail Artemis? Okay.
It's over, Diana.
You
Again,
know,
the camera just seems like it's too low.
yeah. I don't know why, but the directional sign for Arkham Asylum, where it's like, go this way for this, go that way for this, it just reminds me of like a sign you'd see at a summer camp. Worst summer camp ever.
You can't turn your back on him. He needs you.
He needs a therapist is what he needs.
Everyone here needs counseling.
Yes. Hardcore counseling. Possibly some, like, for some of them, antipsychotics, some
The Joker needs a needle.
antidepressants.
Joker needs a needle, honestly. Like, I'm fine with him killing the Joker.
Joker needs to be dropped into the sun.
Oh, wait, no. Joker's already dead in this universe. Because this is
No,
alternate universe. And
Well,
Superman
but-
has killed the Joker, and now he's trying to put his world order in place.
Yes.
Oh, he's much more evil looking.
I'm surprised he's not just killing everyone in the room. Maybe he's about to. But, like, you could literally just kill all these guys pretty much instantly. Why are you not doing that? Now we're basically at the equivalent of a high school fight where you have, like, all the inmates around as the people, like, egging you on.
Fight! Where's the hall monitor?
Hang on, let me get my flip phone.
Better than this, Clark.
World
These
Star!
inmates are irredeemable. They're thieves, rapists, murderers. Like the Joker. That's the problem with fighting for truth and justice. The battle never ends.
And executing them will end it? First Joker, now this. When does it stop?
When there's no more crime. When people can live without fear. We want the same thing,
I think
Bruce.
they'll be in fear
I
of
wanted to kill my
you.
parents'
So the funny
murderer.
thing
I
is,
could have.
the best friends
But
play.
that's not the life they wanted
They
for
did
me.
a thing where
And
they
it's not the
played
life
the
Lois would want for you.
the Punisher game. There was a Punisher game,
Okay.
and they were talking about the hilariousness of it, and it's just like, what happens
A red
when there is
sword
no more crime and
To
it's just the
dull your
Punisher
powers.
left? Will he kill
You need
himself?
to stop. Take time to grieve.
Because he's a murderer,
before
so
it's too
technically,
late.
by his own justifications, he is a bad guy, and he knows he's a bad guy. He's just like,
He would probably justify not killing himself in the fact that because of human nature, there's going to be more people that need to be killed.
but then it's funny because they're like,
why I have to
what if he has a superpower where he just emits a crime field, where whoever he kills retroactively,
Committed crime.
They committed
so
a crime.
he's just a horrible mass murderer who
But-
justifies it because of that.
Yeah. But it's like, that is his superpower, is that everything that he does, retroactively, there was something that they were actually like, oh, he shot that old person. Well, that old person, it turns out, was a child abductor.
Yeah. Man, Superman's a little bitch in this fight.